That music means it's time for me to get on my feet and walk over to the other side of the expansive Studio 9 and wait till you see how former Canadian national team basketball player and our favorite former Canadian national basketball team player, Jevohn Shepherd. Wait till you see what he's wearing. Wait, look at this jacket. It's spectacular. Revealed. Amazing. Indochino.
I'd like to call it Salmon.
It's a very salmon-colored jacket, and it looks great on you, buddy.
Salmon.
Salmon.
Okay.
Salmon.
All right.
That's right. There it is. So this is wild, this group. You know Canada's going to be in the same group as Australia, most likely with the second-ranked team in the world in Spain, who's always great internationally. And then the fourth team is either going to be Giannis and Greece or Luka and Slovenia. This seems like the draw of death. What's your reaction?
I think every draw is a draw of death. And let's face it, Jay, you look at where Canada is right now, and personally, I look at the pools, I look at the groups, and Canada should no longer be concerned with who's in their group, right? There's got to be a different swagger about them. It's funny, just a minute ago, I was talking to Jay Triano, who was the coach the last time the national team was at the Olympics, and he watched the draw. He missed the draw and recorded it on VHS, right? The last time Canada qualified for the Olympics. So that goes to show you how far we've come.
24 years.
24 years. And, you know, for me, I look at the pool, I look at the draw, and yes, there's one team that certain right now is a guarantee. Great. But for us, we've spent too long now just hiding behind Canada is a growing country in terms of basketball, or a young, developing basketball country. When you look at the pipeline of talent on the team, we're going to be turning away NBA players, right, for this Olympic roster. Not one or two guys, but a handful of guys. We have enough to make two teams. And you look at, we're going to enter March Madness in a couple days, and you look at the pipeline of talent and players there, and then you look at the talent of the age groups, we're no longer having a conversation of who's in our pool, who's in our group. That was back when I played. That's when we didn't have much talent. We were concerned about, you know, the matchups and so forth. We have arguably the best player in the world right now, one of the top two best players in the world right now, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. And we have guys that are committed right now to the team. We don't have a lack of talent. We don't have a question of guys committing. So I look at the group, it's great. I think it's exciting for you and I to sit down and chat about and talk about. But if you're Jordy, if you're the rest of that team, you're more concerned about how do we build off of last summer, right? We had a great run, finished bronze, and finish with a bronze medal, but how do we build on that right now? And that should be the only concern.
You make such a good point about those FIBA World Championships and that bronze medal, because it kind of changed everything in terms of the mindset. And by the way, Canada got that bronze medal without a squad at full strength. I mean, they didn't have everybody that they could have had on the squad. So assuming that it's the Olympics and everybody you want on that squad is going to play, you think there's a potential that this is an even better team than the one that won bronze medal last summer?
Yeah, without a doubt, the team can get better, right? And you have to be careful with that as well, because adding too much to that group, a big part of why that group won bronze was they played well together. The guys were willing to get their nose dirty, dive on the loose ball, dive on the floor, and sacrifice for their teammates. But I think with this group, you know, you look at the team last summer, and by the end of it, Shai was a little beat up. You could tell he was tired, he was exhausted. So for me, maybe adding an additional point guard, a backup point guard, a guy that comes to mind is Andrew Nembhard.
Sure.
His size, his ability to facilitate and orchestrate, great. And then the second question mark is always going to be, you know, size. And when you're going international competition, that's always a big thing, is competing against some of these more lumbering but agile bigs.
Right.
And that's been a big hole for us, a big gap for us. And then obviously Jamal Murray, right? It's not going to hurt having a guy that can perform under the lights, having a guy that has won a championship, have a guy, a second guard that can handle the basketball, put the ball in the hole, and is played along another superstar as well. So I think, you know, those three things for me, but I also don't think you turn around tomorrow and you just throw all the talent that you have together and think it's going to work. Right? It doesn't work like that in international play.
Speaking of lumbering, agile big men, how about Group C, Jevohn? This is incredible. You could see Nikola Jokic in Serbia against the United States of America, now potentially featuring Joel Embiid at center. What do you think of that matchup?
Well, I don't necessarily agree with Joel Embiid playing for the USA, but that's another conversation.
Fair enough.
All right. But if those two teams are going to beat each other up in the first round, go at it. Great job. You guys beat each other up. And I think for USA, right, there was a lot of discourse coming off of this summer with them finishing 4th and not medaling, and then you heard a lot of the big names stepping up, LeBron James, Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, wanting to be a part of the Olympic run and just kind of rewrite that narrative, so to say. So they still have some stuff to prove. And then you talk about Serbia, and that team was a really good team, a darn good team without Jokic.
Yeah.
Right, so they can only get better. And I think just based on my experience and, seeing them play, they don't back down to anybody. They don't fear anybody. So, they're going into that thinking that they can win those games and come out of that pool as well. But listen, have at it. Beat yourselves up. Beat yourselves up.
It'll be fun. Either way, it's going to be a great Olympics. Canada's other 2 opponents won't be determined until early July. Olympics begin July 26th. Jevohn, our top 10 today, inspired by Anthony Edwards' incredible dunk yesterday.
Ant-Man.
Poster dunks. You want to stick around for that?
Let's do it.
All right, that'll be later in the show.